Hey everybody, Kaoiji here. So I'm actually going to be uploading another video after this because I'm currently putting this situation behind me, but there are a lot of things that I need to address just for either my sake of self or maybe because there's a couple of people within the community who are taking it upon themselves to send me threats, and that's not okay. So first off, let's talk about my stance on a lot of things that are just, related to PSO2. I don't necessarily think that I have to boycott the game because honestly, I still love the game and I have a platform that can enact some change and spark discussion within the community. I would rather use my platform to be able to do good or at least be able to help the community rather than say, oh yeah, let me boycott the game and potentially not only lose my connections at Sega or lose my connections with the community. This is me being very transparent here, and I don't think I could be any more transparent about that. In addition, some people are asking me what are my stance on bans, and honestly, if you're racist, homophobic, transphobic, sexist, or anything that involves the form of bigotry where you're putting down another group of people, race, religion, whatever, then honestly, I think you should be permanently banned because that's not okay. That shouldn't be okay in society as a whole. But again, I'm not here to discuss that. I'm here to discuss some other things. As far as people being banned permanently for idling when it comes to like Deafness 3 farming or any of the other farming that's available in the open world, I do not think that they should be permanently banned for that because that's not okay either, right? Especially when there's a single flat message when you get banned that's literally you got banned, that's it. You have to then submit an appeal, and it's up to the discretion of whoever works at the appeals department. I don't actually know the name of the department over at Sega, to accept or deny your appeal and then say, okay, well, this is a misunderstanding, or hey, we will unban your account, or maybe it's a 7-day to 10-day to even a 30-day suspension, depending on the severity of the situation. I'm also a very big advocate when it comes to punishment. So for example, if somebody's getting banned for RMTing, if they're an RMT bot, you permanently ban that account because honestly, it wasn't serving any purpose anyway. However, if there was a player who was involved in RMT, I think that a lot of the punishments that other games have enacted when it comes to putting their account in negative standing, such as if they bought 50 millions worth of Meseta, their account should go into equal of 50 millions worth of Meseta in the negative. Not saying like if they have 100 million Meseta and then, they suddenly go down to 50 million so that way it balances out. No, it's a punishment. So they go negative 50 million. All of the Meseta that they currently have is just wiped away because you don't know anything that's related to the real money transaction. Very big advocate when it comes to punishment and communication. However, all of these things that I've mentioned, you, the player, should be aware of. You should know why you were banned, because in the event of maybe you were banned by association, or maybe you said something that was misconstrued, you have the logs and the information to be able to back it up. This way you can submit an appeal, and that's it. That is my stance, and that is how I've always viewed things when it comes to any video game ever. So I don't understand why some people are sending some threats over my way, because I don't think anything that I'm saying is entirely wrong. And if I am, educate me. Don't threaten me. That's not okay either. Now, when it comes to the specific situation that I spoke about in the last video, I went to go look at a lot of the things that you guys are telling me about, and most of it I agree with. However, a lot of statements like this, like for example, Sega assumes the ownership rights of all submitted work and to make unrestricted use of them at its discretion. Participants agree that their submitted works will not be returned and that they forfeit all rights as to their use. However, there is a stipulation to this usually, right? Or it's like participant whose submissions are made into the game will receive the items based on their submission. There is a legal binding thing usually is like, okay, well, if your account is not in good standing, or maybe you were not able to receive any items of submission, then they will not use your submitted work. For example, if it turns out a banned player who won a contest turns out to be an incredible racist, right? Then they're going to go on and say like, you know what, this can't be in our game. And they can also remove the items that player had received. That's just it. That's where that comes into. Right? It's protecting themselves legally. And if anything that the player wound up, doing that would actually result in losses at Sega, they have these clause here where it's like, depending on the severity, you might entitle Sega for some financial compensation. Usually this is just a cover their own ass type deal. This is not something they'll actually enforce because it's too much of like legal trouble to be able to do, but that's just what I'm saying. But that doesn't make anything any less scummy, especially since, like I keep on saying, it's the lack of communication that's involved to be able to determine what is right and what is wrong when it comes to their own terms of service. Sega has the sole discretion to be able to ban anybody for any sort of reason whatsoever. 100% true. However, it's still, it would be nice to be able to have that communication, you know, because again, you do not know why you were banned. That is not the players might be lying. No, it is legitimately a thing. You can Google that for PSO2, and it is historically a problem dating back to even the Japanese version of PSO2. It is not a global exclusive issue. There have even been attempts of live streamers have been banned from the game because one of them wound up using the word GM custom, Gundam custom, you know, as their name, and because of that, people misconstrued it and reported the account for impersonation of a GM, but that player did not know that. So when they logged in for that time, it was just, they didn't know why they were banned until they went to an attempt to submit an appeal. That's it, right? And a lot of people, depending on the severity of the situation, just don't even get the chance to appeal, and they still don't find out through that appeal process. They can only make assumptions as a result of that. So when I say things, it's like, I still want better communication. It's always going to be a thing that I care about because I care about the community, and bans are a very gray area. And honestly, I personally think that a majority of the people who are permanently banned, right, should deserve it. But again, that is a exception, should not be the norm. There should be punishments involved leading up to a permanent ban. As far as Sega and its employees being social justice warriors, because I've seen a couple people say that as well, that is their entire stance has been a company, and that's been their stance for who knows how long, is they don't like people being oppressed. In fact, based on the clips and the things that I've seen from Yakuza or even the Persona series, although I've played some of the Persona series, I've never played Yakuza. Based on those clips, right, I can assume that they are very pro LGBTQIA and of any shape or form. And it doesn't matter your nationality, your marital status, your age, your religion. They are for you as long as you're not putting anybody else down. However, there's also these small group of people who are like, I'm going to take this random tweet from Tyler, the creator, that has a whole bunch of the N-word and unironically post that in their Twitter comments. And then, you know, they can't ban me for that. No, they're not banning you. They're blocking you from their Twitter. Because honestly, how do you think that's going to go down? You're not Tyler, the creator. You're also not somebody who's within the demographic to be able to use such words. That's just it. I'm sorry. I don't make the rules. That's a fact. But as far as we're talking about these one scenario here, right, I need to make it clear. A lot of people who work at Sega are on the player's side. Not that I'm saying that because, you know, I'm in with them. No, I've actually had conversations that I've met these people, and I've been able to make inquiries regarding certain situations that need to be handled privately. And some of those conversations cannot be disclosed to the public. That is just a factual statement, and I cannot, you know, break that undisclosed. It's not an NDA, but it's like a friend-DA, I guess, if you wanted to say. But what I can show you guys is a tweet that GWiz wanted putting out, because a lot of people think that this person involved winds up making the ban appeals because they have a GM account that's available for the headline, which they also wind up addressing. With this tweet continuing to say, "Howdy Arcs, I've seen your overnight tags and tweets. Just a reminder, I'm part of the PSO2 NGS community team, meaning some of the things I do are social media, Discord, and live streams. In-game tech support and account related matters isn't something I'm directly involved in. But I saw you during the Headline Plus. It says GM GWiz. It's true that we have GM accounts for the Headline Plus. Myself and Danger only use these accounts for the show. These accounts do not have any special permissions. Our support website plays for account-related matters, and they link the website. Our community staff is very dialed into what our community is discussing. Official word will always come from Play PSO2, NGS Headline, and the PSO2.com. And then they continue to have a conversation with another person who just, I think is kind of funny how this person was a mod account for Beach Paradise, which, that's funny to me. But they wound up saying that they do know of the current situation and they're continuously looking into it. And while some things might be on the same page, as employees, their hands are tied and they cannot openly make statements on their personal Twitters and they cannot make statements on behalf of Sega without approval. That is a big thing. A lot of the employees who work at Sega will always be like, you know, I wish I could do more, but I actually can't because I have to get approval from the higher ups. They might be able to take some of the situations and conversations that we're currently feeling and are going on within the community and take them to the higher ups. But it's ultimately at the discretion of people who work above them at Sega to be like, yes, you can do your job and make a point to talk about this. I've met some of these people in person. I've had very personal conversations regarding their workplace that I'm not going to be the one to disclose, but I can honestly say that these people, sometimes it keeps them up at night because they want to be able to help the community. And while they might all be doing other things, you know, in their personal time, their job still weighs very heavily upon them. Especially since a lot of these people who work on the PSO2 team specifically have been fans of the Phantasy Star franchise since its inception on the Dreamcast. A lot of them are working on the PSO2 team, not because they can't find another job anywhere else, but because they're very passionate about the game that they're playing. That's just the truth. And I don't know how much more I can say that without leading into personal information that I'm not at liberty to disclose. But as far as bans are concerned, as far as communications is concerned, I would much rather, again, have better communication amongst the entire team, whether it be Sega to Japan to Sega of America to the community, or however that needs to be done, because I do not want situations like this to keep on arising where the community is entirely divided between people who think it's black and white when it's actually just gray. I want to stop the points where I look at my comment section or the comments of the content creators and I'm seeing people just being outrageously racist and or hurtful, or even the people who are reaching out to me privately to send me threats. I want to be able to stop that, because that is not okay for the PSO2 community or the community at large. Because the last thing you want to know is that when the game is incredibly good to play and it feels good and Sega's on point, right? The last thing you want is the impression that no matter how good the game is, the community is toxic, and because that's a stain that will never leave. And I might be one person, but I love the franchise just as much as anybody else. And I played base PSO2, I've played Phantasy Star Universe, I played PSO, and I've even talked about it over on my Twitter quite often, because the reality is this is a place where I feel at home and I feel like I can talk about the most and I can play the most because it just makes me feel good. That's it. But, you know, if you guys want me to go out and bring out receipts of everything that has happened, I can do that as well. But what I'm trying to say is, when I say it at the end of my videos to be kind, to be courteous to each other, to stay awesome, to stay beautiful, I mean that. That is not just a thing I say to be like, all right, whatever. I mean that. I care about this community. I care about the people who watch my content, because you're not just numbers, you're human beings. And while there will always be that disconnect between me as a content creator or even as a person to some of the people that I've met online, there have been amazing people who have changed my life for the better. And I want to continue paying that forward. And if it means painting a target on my back because I want something to get better, then I will do that. That's it. But I'm hoping that it never gets to the point again where I have to sit down and literally read my DMs and be like, oh, you should off yourself, because that's not okay. And I have to keep on reiterating that. I don't think that's okay for the people who work at Sega to read that either. I don't think it's okay for people who continuously are participating within the game and just having a fun time to live with that. My entire point is I love this game and I love this franchise. And if I have a platform to be able to talk about something, then I will. Whether or not something gets changed as a result of something that I've spoke about is irrelevant. I will always use my platform to either better myself, better the game or the communities that I'm a part of, or maybe just to entertain you and better your day. But I needed to get this video out there before I put up my next one, because I don't feel comfortable doing that. You get what I'm saying? A lot of what I do is when I feel comfortable creating certain things. And I would just hope that you guys know that I'm a human being too. I don't take kindly to threats, and I don't take kindly to putting people down. This is just me being a person on the internet. I got lucky to have the role that I got. And I would honestly hope that more people actually understand that. Regardless of whether or not we agree, there are a lot of you, and thank you so very much for watching my videos, for even clicking on them. And I hope that this video at least put some thought process into people's minds to know that there are human beings who work at Sega. There are human beings who create content. There are human beings who create the game. And I just want everything to be a much better place. Maybe that's just a dream that'll never be realized, but I can only do so much by myself. But anyway, again, thank you for watching. See you next video.